What's up, Limes? Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a review. I'm just going to be watching this video by The Critical Drinker about the biggest flop in media history, Supergirl. Let's get started.
Oh dear. It would seem that all is not well in the world of Supergirl, dear
Facts.
viewer. Not only did the movie get crapped on by every YouTuber with a microphone, but in
Hey, I'm jumping on that train. Hello, Tectone. Hello, Asmongold. Hello, everyone else.
a shocking act of corporate betrayal, even the mainstream shill media turned against it.
And those guys will upvote everything. Didn't they give, like, Morbius very high reviews?
And those guys will defend practically anything without a Y chromosome on the front cover. The
Facts.
film's last remaining hope was at the box office. I mean, plenty of crap movies have taken a critical mauling and still gone on to make like a shit zillion dollars. Maybe there was a third act redemption waiting for our girl Kara after all.
Doubt it. Holy shit, how do you get outdone by Toy Story 5? The worst Toy Story. Ran into kryptonite is crazy. Superman's cousin. 125 million.
Well, the numbers are in and the final verdict has been rendered.
Yep.
This movie is an absolute, complete and total stinker.
Yes, it is. Why is there orange?
Is an absolute, complete and
What is that? They just threw a Cheeto puff in the fucking
total stinker.
shit pile.
In the past month or so, the opening weekend projections have been
Why she look like that?
down more times than
That's
a
a crazy
UK
suit.
economic forecast, and
Damn.
it couldn't even hit that lowest of bars. Not only did it fail to take the number one spot,
You got outdone by the worst Joker, It's Morbin Time, and The Marvels. Side note, I actually really liked Marvel Runaways. You guys ever seen that show? Good show.
but with just 37 million domestic, Supergirl performed even worse than
7.9.
Morbius, which managed 39 million. Damn man, even the Marvels managed to bring in 46 million.
Black girl magic!
Make no mistake.
Dude, that is crazy. If that was any other race, they'd be freaking out. White girl magic. They'd be like, you racist.
Supergirl isn't just a run-of-the-mill flop or an underperformer, it is a fucking calamity for James Gunn, the DCU, and superhero movies
sucks.
in general. And the thing is, we all told you this was gonna happen. We saw the writing on the wall, we read the signs and we formed the obvious conclusion that this film had about as much chance of success as an Airbnb in fucking Pripyat.
What the fuck is Pripyat? Is that like Russia?
Of success as an Airbnb and
Isn't this like Russia? Oh god, I'm uncultured. Either way, that is crazy.
Fucking Pripyat. Supergirl might be the most predictable flop in years, but what's important to understand here is why. Because there's already all kinds of bizarre myths and excuses popping up to explain.
Yeah, they say it's the actress's fault, James Gunn's fault. Really, in my opinion, the fault is of the writer. That writer they got to do it had like one writing thing in her whole career before that, and it shows.
And if you can't be honest about your own mistakes, then you'll never learn from them. And by golly, I want Hollywood to learn from this one.
Dude, Jason Momoa was the only redeemable part of this whole movie, and he was in it for like a minute.
So with that in mind, let us examine a few of them, shall we? Myth number one is that Millie Alcock is somehow to blame for all this shit. There's this weird attempt.
No, they were trying to say that because she was like making all the pride virtue signaling, and it came out, wasn't she like drunk when she did it?
Going on to frame her as a Rachel Zegler type of actor, constantly shooting her
Rachel Zegler hated men. There is a difference.
Mouth off about politics, feminism, disrespecting other actors, and shitting on men in general. And the thing is, it's just not.
And it's not the same anyways, because Rachel Zegler ruined a remake of a beloved movie from way back in time. Like, this isn't a remake, this is just a bad movie.
Not not true. Most of this is based around off-the-cuff remarks cherry-picked from much longer interviews
Oh
that
yeah,
somehow became headline
that's what I
news.
saw.
I mean, I'm definitely not saying she's perfect or anything, and if we're honest here, casting a relatively unknown 5'2" actress with the body of a child and a
Whoa. Ayo.
face that was always going to be compared unfavorably to her predecessors was a bad move right from the start. It was always going to open her up to
True.
criticism, and boy did it come. But my point is, I don't think Millie Alcock is at fault here on a personal level. She
Also, crazy name, Millie Alcock.
doesn't really seem like a bad person. What she is
No, she seems like a good person. That's why it's sad, because this is gonna ruin her career. But I mean, it was a terrible movie.
young, impressionable, naive, and not particularly media savvy. And historically, there's no group
Oh my
of people
god,
easier
terrible
to bait
interview.
into saying something retarded than young,
Terrible
enthusiastic
interview.
actresses that have gotten their first taste of fame and attention. Like this infamous red carpet interview where she clearly had a bit too much of the free champagne and was
That's what I
asked about
heard.
Supergirl's perception as a queer icon.
It wasn't, but in honor of Pride Month, as I'm getting all these questions.
You can hear her slurring. It's like getting all these questions. Like, dude, she's clearly just 4 champagne drinks in.
I don't know. I think that what makes this film so beautiful is that it's not centered around a man. It's not centered around love at all.
See, that's where you went wrong. You should have just said love. It's not centered around love. You had to throw in the man thing, and now you get all these, like, dudes who are like, oh, she hates men.
If anything, but we'll see. I don't really know, but I don't know. I don't know. She'd probably go both ways.
Why? There was no reason to. Who cares? It's not a love story. Who cares what they go with? You know, this is a.
Point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought?
You can tell from her awkward, stumbling response that she's trying her best not to offend the interviewer by saying, "What the fuck are you even talking about?" Because that would kick off an even worse shitstorm, while instead pivoting the conversation back towards the generic talking points that she's been given. She's doing exactly what every actor on the promo tour tries to do, she's just not very good at it. If she'd been a bit less drunk and a bit more experienced, she might have said something like, "It's awesome that the LGBT community have embraced Supergirl like this, and I think that's part of what makes the character so interesting. There's something in her that everyone can identify with, and that's why I'm super excited to be playing her."
That wouldn't have been bad, but she could have also just said no comment. Like, hey, the movie's not even out yet. Watch the movie, you know. Can you give us any sneak peeks? No, I'm not Tom Holland, you know what I'm saying?
Ever notice how politicians never really answer the
That's
question?
what I just said. I just said that. This guy watched me. He's copying my whole shit bar for bar.
They're given and instead just reframe them into the things they want to talk about? Well, that's exactly what actors
The
are supposed to do
deflection
when they're
method.
promoting their movie. And honestly, I blame the fucking studio, man. Not just
Ron.
for failing to give her the media training she clearly needed, but for putting idiots like this in front of her in the first place. It's like that Mark Melkin guy.
Are you gay?
Would you say this is the gayest superhero ever?
Why
They
he
had
look
to
like a
know that
Muppet?
questions like this were only ever going to appeal to a tiny percentage of the audience and alienate everyone else, but they did it anyway. They threw Millie Alcock to the wolves with this one, and I think that's a real shame because the fallout from this
Every time I hear
disaster
the
is
name.
probably going to derail her career for years, if not
Yeah,
forever.
facts.
Myth number 2 is that the movie failed because men just can't stand to see women heading up superhero movies.
Not false. If this would have been Wonder Woman back in time, she would have been back on the island with her sisters fighting off fucking creatures in the jungle. I would have watched the shit out of that.
Again, this is bullshit.
Nobody cares about Supergirl. Not that it's a woman thing.
Shit, because how do you explain the success of Wonder Woman? There was no real
Yep,
antagonism around that
yep.
movie. Men and
Amazonian.
women both enjoyed it, and it was a critical and commercial hit. Why, you ask? Well, because the protagonist was likable.
She's got that sword in her ass cheeks. Like, look how long that That's crazy.
Feminine and actually heroic. She wasn't some prickly, aggressive bitch who had to turn every conversation into a battle of wills, or a walk-in inferiority complex who constantly had to prove herself better than everyone else, or some shitty feminist revenge fantasy out to punish and humiliate every single man in the movie. Men are perfectly happy to support female-led movies on 3 conditions. 1, they don't
They're good. They have good writing. The female is attractive. Yep.
shit on men for the crime of simply existing.
Facts.
2, the female lead is somewhat likable. And
Facts.
3, they're actually good.
This guy's
Supergirl
spitting.
failed on at least 2 of those conditions.
Failed on all 3.
Arguably 3 if you want to be picky. It was a shit film, and
picky.
the protagonist was just plain unlikable. Right from the
Yeah,
first trailer,
facts.
Kara's personality immediately turns you off, man.
Ugh.
The writer probably thought it was super empowering and fresh to have a female hero who's messy and crazy and doesn't exist to live
That is not fresh. We've had that for like the past 8 years. They've been pumping those out, bro.
up to your expectations. But that's precisely the problem, partly because to outsiders, Kara comes across as lazy, arrogant, and self-absorbed.
And a bitch.
But mostly because you're treating the audience like unwanted baggage that the protagonist has got no time for, like some opponent who has to be defeated or corrected. People couldn't warm to this character because you gave us no reason to like her. In
Facts.
particular, you gave men
Come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding.
See, we've got no sisterly solidarity with female characters.
True.
We're not going to support them simply because they exist, so you have to work extra hard if you want to win us over.
By working extra hard, he means just write a good story.
And win us over you must, because here's another uncomfortable truth for you. When it comes to superhero movies, men are your target.
It is 37-year-old white men. Those are the vast majority that watch this type of show.
Audience.
Oh god.
You might hate them, you might resent them, but men are who you have to appeal to. It doesn't matter how hard you pander, women are
Jesus.
not going to suddenly show up en masse to support your feminist superhero movie, because for the most part,
Another thing is like if they would have made, if you want to pander to women, like what women are actually gonna go and watch superhero movies? Mothers. They're gonna be taking their family or their son or their daughter to go watch these movies. So you gotta make like a motherly movie.
it just does not interest them. Men are who you need to appeal to, and you failed big time with Supergirl. Also, there's no getting around this. The writing philosophy behind characters like Kara is like 5 years out of date now. As a culture, we are so fucking over the whole deconstructed
Ooh, what the
hero thing
fuck?
now.
That's
It's
disgusting.
not cool or edgy or inventive anymore.
Is that a
After
nipple?
more than a decade of this mean-spirited crap, it's become tired, dated, and played out. The very thing it was supposed to be a response to. The lazy comfort zone of hackneyed, cynical, and cowardly writers who are so afraid of doing anything real and authentic, they'd rather hide behind
Keep your
irony
man.
and self-mockery. Speaking of which, myth number 3. People were just out to hate
I
this
hate
movie
this
because
man.
they want James Gunn to fail.
No, I don't want him to fail. I would like him to make something good, you know?
I mean, as much as I love the idea of this army of embittered Snyder bros working in the shadows to orchestrate one of the biggest media
Didn't like Snyder
destruction
either.
campaigns in history, I think you're investing them with way more power than they actually have. It's the same story with content creators like myself. Yeah, we might get a lot of views at times, but do you really think all the normies out there even know or care what we have to say about Supergirl?
Yes, all 8 billion people on the planet, they watch The Critical Drinker and they're like, yeah, this guy knows ball.
Of course they fucking don't. We don't make the news, we just report on it. But on the subject of James Gunn, I think it's fair to make the news what we have to say about Supergirl. Of course they
Is that the guy from Chinatown?
fucking don't. We don't make the news, we just report on it. But on the subject of James Gunn, I think it's fair to say that his creative
Look at his
vision for
stupid
DC
hair.
hasn't exactly been a winner so far. Why? Well, 2 reasons. 1, people are simply tired of his shit because the whole deconstructed cynical hero thing that's coming to the end of its cultural arc is literally all he knows how to do. It's woven into
Facts.
the DNA of every movie and TV show he produces.
What am I supposed to be watching here? There's like nothing. It's just bright white sky. Some dude looking off into the distance.
And it's so
Interesting.
fucking played out now. And two, his management of the DC brand makes Kathleen Kennedy look like a model of executive efficiency.
Oh,
I mean, shit, man. At least she actually turned a profit before she
she turned a profit on some stinkers.
burned it all to the ground. He hasn't even managed to do that. His weird piecemeal approach to trickling out obscure, disconnected content with no particular structure, plan, or overarching narrative tying it all together just reinforces what most people already knew. James Gunn is a director at heart, not a studio head. He doesn't have the big picture creative vision to manage an entire cinematic universe like this. And if anything, he seems to get sidetracked on personal
This might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually really liked Creature Commandos. The Radiation Fire guy was my favorite. I actually really liked it. I don't know.
vanity projects like Peacemaker or Creature Commandos, while failing to lay down the building blocks that this franchise desperately needs. They say that a rising tide lifts all boats, and there's no better example of that
Oh,
than the
Loki
MCU,
was so
where
good.
even dogshit movies like Black Panther
Black
2
Panther 2 was
somehow made
not.
more than $860 million.
How are you getting
DC,
clowned by
on the
Black
other hand,
Panther
is still
2?
waiting for the fucking tide to come in, which means every film they release right now has to stand on its own merits.
True.
Any sane man in his position would have brought out the biggest guns in the arsenal. Superman, Batman,
Based on
Wonder
him being
Woman.
James
Give
Gunn,
them all
I'd
their
hope
own
so.
solo adventures, then have them team up for some epic cinematic event movie. Then and only then can you use that momentum to launch the B-listers like Supergirl, Green Lantern, and fucking Booster Gold.
What the
Instead,
fuck?
Gunn's DCU is all arse about face, trying to open with shit that nobody cares about in a market for superhero movies that's rapidly shrinking. And well, the results speak for themselves. All of this is to say that, yeah, Supergirl was an entirely predictable failure, but not for the reasons that a lot of people seem to think. It probably would have failed at the box office even if it had been a decent movie, but as it turns out, it couldn't even manage to do that. And if this is what the future of DC on film looks like under James Gunn, well, you have to start asking yourself how much longer he'll be around.
Hopefully
I
not
guess-
much longer. Yeah, thanks for coming to watch the video, Limes. Hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. And I'll use this guy's outro. Go away now.